Assalamu alaikum, family, and welcome to another transformative episode of the Mind of an Entrepreneur show, or the Sajdah Morning Coffee Talks, I should say. This is Coffee Talks. I am your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad, and today we're going to have an honest, healing, and elevated conversation about something that many of us don't often confess to. We're going to have some conversations with ourselves. We've all felt that way at some point. What happens when you yourself are jealous and envious of someone else? Stay tuned, be a friend, tell a friend, and we'll be right back after a few short commercials and a beautiful prayer.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Conference was held 30 years ago. Congratulations. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. I remember when the first National Training Conference was held 30 years ago. Congratulations. And I'm even more excited this year to open the Elijah Muhammad House, also known as Sajdah House, up for some special tours just for you, National Training Conference attendees. We're going to be having special tours on Thursday, 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., and also on Sunday at 4 p.m. So just go to ElijahMuhammadHouse.com and register to attend. And remember, space is very limited, so we got to get there and get registered. Congratulations, and I can't wait to see you. Welcome to Chicago. Assalamu alaikum, family, and welcome to another transformative episode of the Sajdah Saturday morning. No, today's Friday, right? Friday morning coffee talks. Let's just say Sajdah morning coffee talks. I'm your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad, and today we're going to have an honest, healing, and elevated conversation about something that many of us don't often confess, but that all of us have felt at some point. We're going to ask ourselves a question. What happens when we ourselves are the ones who are envious and jealous? I know that's a heavy question, right? I'm going to jump right into it. And then we're going to talk about training conference and some other stuff like that. But let's level set, okay? Because let's be real. When we talk about envy and jealousy, we often position ourselves as the victims of someone else's hate. But what happens when that envy and jealousy lives inside of us? When it sneaks into our spirit and begins to shape our business decisions, cloud our creativity, shrink our potential, mess us up with family and friends, or cause us to be running around being two-faced and all of that stuff. What is that? Let's break it down first by definition before we get into it. Okay, look, be a friend, tell a friend, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Envy. What is envy? Envy is the painful or resentful awareness of an advantage enjoyed by another with a desire to possess that same advantage. While jealousy is the fear or suspicion that someone might take what you have, or that a valued relationship or possession is threatened. In essence, envy is wanting what someone else has, whereas jealousy involves perceived threat to something you already possess or hold dear. There's two key distinctions. Envy takes two parties. It involves two individuals, you and someone else, who possesses something you desire. For example, if you covet your neighbor's new car, right? You are experiencing envy. Okay. Jealousy takes three parties. All right. It typically involves three parties: you, what you possess or a valued relationship, and a third party who might take or threaten that possession. For instance, if you're worried your partner is giving positive attention to someone else, you're feeling jealousy. Okay. So envy is when you want what they have, and jealousy is when you fear that they may take what you have. And these two are oftentimes grouped together. And like I said, we are always, going to Surah Al-Falaq, right? From the evil of the envier when he envies. So we're thinking about seeking refuge in Allah from the envier when he envies us. What about when you are envious and jealous of somebody else? Right? We recite this verse to seek protection from those who envy us. But do we ever stop to ask, what damage do I cause when I am the envier? This is just for our own personal. This is no judgment, no judgment zone. Everybody, no matter how big we are, let's go inside of ourselves and ask that question. Jealousy doesn't just poison relationships, it strangles our potential. It produces bitterness, sabotage, and comparison. And comparison is the thief of joy. And do you know that when you're standing in front of somebody and you're filled with envious and jealousy, there are certain types of people that can see it. Sometimes you leave people wondering, like, what happened in our relationship? We were cool. And then all of a sudden you just start acting funny because you got impacted by some envy and jealousy inside of you. It's okay. This is the resurrection zone, because the goal here is we don't want those things blocking us as we begin to step out here and do for self, right? What does it look like in business? That's where you see it a lot, when you start to rise to certain levels. In the world of entrepreneurship, Jealousy manifests in very subtle, but they can be very deadly ways, right? You scroll social media and get irritated at another Black entrepreneur's success. That's doing something to you. It's doing something to your ability to pool your resources with that person. It's doing something to your ability to unite with that person. It's doing something to your ability to be kind to that person. It's doing something to your ability to build a relationship with that person. If you find yourself downplaying somebody's achievement by saying they must have had help instead of celebrating their hard work. I remember when we were building the hospital, and people would ask all the time, give me your boss's number, or they'd say all kind of stuff like, well, who's the financier? And we were literally bootstrapping this thing, dumping all our money right back into building and developing, and people were asking us very, very demeaning questions. I mean, I have people in my own family saying, she's not a hospital owner or a developer. She must be the manager. She must be the secretary. Now, ain't nothing wrong with being the manager or the secretary, but dang, I ain't been a manager and a secretary in a minute. I've been out here grinding. So when we have a hard time accepting the advancements and downplaying somebody else's achievement, we got to work on ourselves. What happens when you hesitate to support a fellow entrepreneur because deep down, you don't want them to outshine you? Deep down inside, you got a problem with them outshining you. What happens when you copy somebody else's brand or message instead of cultivating your own originality? Look, beloved, when we act from a place of jealousy, we are literally blocking our own divine assignment. No one else can do what you've been sent here to do, but envy disconnects you from the truth. It disconnects you from what Allah has for you, what you showed up on the planet to do, why Allah chose to express himself as you on your birthday. When he brought you and birthed you and conceived you, there was an expression that Allah wanted to manifest that visualized and materialized as you, and that expression has a purpose. It's multifactorial, but you're blocking yourself off and just building more and more and more jealous and envy inside of yourself, because the more you become jealous of somebody, the more you use your tongue to try to dim their light, the more you try to hurt them by keeping them away from opportunities, you're really pinching yourself off from your own divinity. And that is not a sustainable way to live, especially if you're trying to be a leader, especially if you want to do for self, especially if you want to be out here in a position where we talk about being out over your skis and being in a creative zone and having Allah sustain you because he knows that he can flow through you in a particular manner. We won't get to that point. All right. Now let's go deeper, because see, jealousy is rooted in scarcity. It's a symptom of a colonized mind. It's that belief that there's only room for one Black business to thrive at a time, or one Black professional, or one Muslim, or blah, blah, blah. We always want to be the first. We always want to be the only. But Allah is Al-Wasi, the expansive. His blessings are not limited. See, when we envy others, we are questioning Allah's distribution. We are in essence saying to Allah, why did they get it and not me? But what if the better question is, what in me needs to heal so I can receive my portion, so that I can receive the fuel I need to create in the manner that you desire, and I can create that reciprocal motion. See, in Surah, I see y'all here. Hey, Mom, Brother Lamont, Sister Betty, I see y'all. Assalamu alaikum. In Surah Al-Nisa, Allah says this: do not wish for that which Allah has made some of you exceed others. For men is a share of what they have earned, and for women is a share of what they have earned. See, this verse reminds me to stay in our own lane. Focus on your own field. Cultivate your own soil. Harvest your own crop. See, you may want what somebody else had, but you may not want to go through what they had to go through to get it. Because when that person is in divine alignment, right, it's going to look easy. It's going to look good. Because Allah is going to be all over them, and that's what you're going to see, and you're going to say, I want that. Well, wanting that does not mean that you have to actively work to pinch that person off from what is theirs. Because when you do that, it's almost like committing suicide. All right. Now, let's talk about healing. I want to spend a lot of time talking about healing. Again, a lot of us are envious and jealous. We gave the definitions. Let me just give the quick Cliff Note definition again before we talk about healing. Envy is when you want what somebody else has. Jealousy is when you fear that they may take what you have. Okay. And we talked about all the things that we do personally, downplaying somebody, talking about them, trying to block people, any act that we do that is born out of wanting what they have. Sometimes we go so far as want to just stop them from having it or get rid of them altogether. People literally try to kill people. I'm sorry, you're supposed to say unalive. Unalive people because they're jealous, because they're envious. And I'm not talking to them right now. I'm talking about you and I working to make sure that we uproot that from our vibration, right? So that that protective shield can come around us. And then once that protective shield comes around us, we are in sort of like this vibrational cocoon where we now can create and prepare our vessel and ourselves to receive the blessings that were specifically designed for us and why we showed up on the planet Earth. Most of us are struggling to be successful because there is something that we're doing inside of ourselves that's blocking us. See, blessings are always flowing. And you have to remember this. Let me take a minute on the side to say this. When you feel blocked, that's a darkness. And this is, again, no judgment because we've all been there. When you are hurting because you need something, when you're in pain, when you're tired, it's easy to go to Allah and say, Allah, please, where's the money? Please, where's the man? Please, where's the food? Whatever it is, right? But I want us to think about this. Darkness cannot create light. Darkness cannot create light. If it's dark in a room, how do you illuminate it? You turn the light on. If the light is on and you want to snuff out the darkness, you cover up the light. So instead of looking for and begging for what you don't have, let's look for and be diligent about searching for what is covering up the light. Is it that you're envious and jealous of somebody? And we have to be honest with ourselves if we want to remove the covering that's on the light, it's shining on us. It's shining on us. We serve a merciful and beneficent God. Gives us so much grace. We mess up, he don't cut us off. I remember Sister Ava used to always talk about, listen, you better thank Allah because all he had to do was just leave you alone. That's mortifying. So let's talk about how we can begin to heal and do those ever so subtle things that takes the covering off the light, opens the curtains, lets the light shine in. Let's start number one with gratitude. Gratitude is the antidote. When you are deeply grateful, you realize you are already abundant. Start each day naming what you're grateful for in your business, even if it's small. If you don't have a business and you just sometimes I go around my house and I just look at all the wonderful things that I've been able to manifest, everything that I've been able to do. And I say, you know what? The light is always shining. So what am I giving attention to? What am I doing that's impacting something? Because you may have to dig a little bit, right? So I know a couple days this week I had a writer's block. I'm putting some finishing touches on the next book. And I had to go to myself and say, okay, what did I allow to block the light that's trying to come through so that I can create? And sometimes we get overconsumed by other people hating on us. We get so overconsumed by it that in a subconscious way, it disappoints us, discourages us. And so what do? We just go, I'm just going to go lay down. I'm just not going to create today. But we're human. So I want to talk to us because I'm a big component of taking responsibility for yourself. And anybody who knows me knows I'll say, you know what? I'm not worried about what they got going on. I'm worried about making sure that my hands are clean, that I'm clean in here as a vessel. And if I've done something wrong, let me figure out what I got to do to correct myself. If I got to apologize to Allah, if I got to say, let me figure out how to correct this behavior or correct this thought pattern that could potentially be blocking me from my greatness. So gratitude is a beautiful antidote. The second thing you want to remember is to work to stay in alignment, because envy oftentimes bubbles up when we're out of alignment with our purpose, right? It's like all of a sudden, let's say, man, I got an example for this, but I don't want to make it too, let's see, how can I say this? Okay, so let's say you're in the church, okay, and you get mad at somebody in the church and you decide, well, I'm about to go out here to the world, and I'm going to live in the world, and I'm going to compete against these people in the world because I can be better as a worldly Christian than an in-house Christian or whatever, something like that. Well, guess what happens? When you get into that world, that is not your world, that is not the world where you're supposed to be, you sometimes will find yourself becoming envious of other people because you're out of alignment. Because when you're living on your purpose, your authentic purpose, you don't have time to watch someone else's lane. It is a full-time job to make sure that you're peeling back the layers of the onion, not covering up the light. If somebody did something to you, don't let what they did to you, this is somebody's word right here, don't let what they did to you cause you to cover up your own light. How are you covering up your own light? Not by saying, well, you know what? I don't want to do my business no more. No, it's not that simple. You know what it is? When you start spending time focusing on hating them, being nosy about what they're doing, hoping to hurt them, hoping to block them. If you spend 10 hours focusing, if you got 10 hours, let's say 10 minutes to focus on your business, and you spend 10 of those, you spend 5 of those minutes or 50% of the time focusing on some hater in the business down the street. Now you only got 5 minutes to focus on your business. So you start pinching yourself off. Some of us are so consumed by people hating on us that we spend all our time talking about haters and making moves because we're trying to outpace the haters. Stay in alignment. Stay in your lane. Stay with your purpose. Live on your purpose and work on living more on your purpose. The more people hate on you, just keep getting on your dean. You don't have to watch somebody else's lane. Okay. I want you to learn. Here's the third one. I want you to learn to celebrate other people authentically. See, when you celebrate another Black entrepreneur, it's okay. You vibrationally align yourself with that success. You vibrationally align yourself with that success. If Allah is showing you what somebody else has done or can do, he's just showing you your potential and that you may actually be able to do that and then some. So celebrate. Be grateful even to Allah for showing you what's possible. Thank you, Allah, for showing me this. Thank you. I appreciate allowing me to see this, because once you see it, you can vibrate with it. If you don't never see it, then you're vibrating with it in your mind. But let me say it this way. When you see it, you can elevate your vibration. You may be fantasizing about it and wanting something so bad, and you see somebody else doing that or something similar. It can accelerate your vibration, give you additional ideas. It can help you be more authentic. So celebrate others. Don't curse God and curse yourself and cover up your own light by hating on somebody else. And of course, we always have to seek refuge in Allah. Just as we seek refuge from the external envier when they envy, we have to seek refuge in Allah to remove envy from our own heart when we envy. We should say, oh Allah, purify my heart from envy and fill it with gratitude and trust in your divine plan. Right? Now, let's talk about, I'm going to go back to, because a lot of us are probably saying, well, I'm not that envious, or we might be blind. We got a blind spot to the type of envy that we practice in our lives, the type of jealousy that some of us are locked into in our lives. Some of us are friends with people because we're jealous of them. Some of us talk to people all the time only because we're envious of them. What happens to us when that goes unchecked? There's bitterness and resentment. And some of us, it's a silent bitterness and resentment. Silently, sometimes we're just bitter. We're just resentful. We may put a smile on to the public, but deep down inside, there's a bitterness, there's a resentment. What is that bitterness and resentment doing? It is putting a covering on our light, on our blessings. See, the light, the blessings, it's always shining. Allah is always with us. What prevents it from coming into our lives? What prevents us from living in that flow or in that abundance is because we literally are covering up that light or blocking those blessings by our action. The other thing, when that stuff goes unchecked, there's a form of isolation or broken collaborations where you just can't collaborate with anybody. You can't unite, you can't partner, you can't pool your resources with anybody because you are just so envious and jealous, and your spirit is such that you can't be around anybody that's doing better than you, something that you wanted to do, something different from what you have to do. So you start feeling like the only way I can feel comfortable is if I control this person. And if this person is spiraling a little bit towards their success, too much more than what I can handle, let me snatch them back and hold them right here. If you're finding yourself doing that, if you find yourself in leadership and you're doing that, leadership in your company, leadership in your organization, you find yourself just locking in and exhibiting an excessive amount of control over people. Take a look at the inside. There's no judgment zone. Take a look at the inside. Look at yourself and say, how is this blocking my light? And what do I need to do in order to lift that veil so I can stop doing that and get into my own authenticity so that I'm not so envious and jealous of somebody else? I hope y'all getting this. So that loss of trust within the Black business ecosystem, where you don't want to work with anybody Black. Do you know one of the most difficult things in the world is to be a Black employer? It's very difficult. And we'll talk about that one day. But being a Black employer is very, very difficult because people cut up in ways that they wouldn't cut up with an employer that doesn't look like them, in ways that they wouldn't cut up with an employer that's not Black, because sometimes white employees give you a hard time as well. But I think one of the most challenging things is to be a Black employer, not a Black boss, because you could be working for a company and you're in charge. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you own the company, it's a Black company, and you are the employer. Listen, from the HR issues, from the things that people got a problem with, they think anything you say it's a whole long thing, but we're going to talk about that. I'm going to do a show on that. But what ultimately happens, let me stay on task here, is spiritual stagnation. Some of us are really stagnant. We're like stagnant water spiritually. And until we release and transform our envy into admiration, from admiration comes inspiration, and then inspiration leads to activation. Because a lot of times that's what it is. You start admiring somebody. This is what oftentimes happens. Sometimes you'll meet somebody, and when you meet them, you admire them. And then in your admiration, you start to feel a little bit of envy. What did we say envy was? Let's go back to it. In your admiration, envy is then you want what they have. And you say, I want what they got. How do I get it? And then you may even start trying to do some of the same things that they do, but it's not coming to you. And so instead of your admiration transforming into inspiration, not inspiration to take or copy, but inspiration to find your own divine path, maybe even to talk to this person and say, hey, because there's nuances, right? Say, hey, you know what? I want to do what you're doing, but here's who I am. Here's what I desire. Here are some of the other factors that impact me. What do you suggest? See, that's taking that admiration and working to move it into the proper form of inspiration. And then once the inspiration happens, you're inspired, that fire happens, that spark happens. Now you can sit down and say, let me figure out how to activate. Okay, we are not in competition with each other. We are actually one another's confirmation. I remember when Barack Obama became president, and I discovered this concept. I was filled with a tremendous amount of confirmation. I remember working on the campaign. I remember, our T-shirts. I remember all of that, and I was deep into my consulting career at that time and during the first run. And I remember the confirmation, the certainty that his running gave me and then the winning gave me. It was a certainty. It was the rise of another Black person as proof that success could happen on a massive scale for me as well. So let's move from jealousy to jubilation, from envy to elevation. See, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that envy is the enemy of progress. He says, stop looking at your brother's house, go build your own. Envy is the enemy of progress. And I think oftentimes we hear these quotes and we're always thinking about the other person. How is it the enemy of progress? Well, because they hating on me, they trying to stop me. But if you know what, if you got the word of God in you, if you believe The way you and I are supposed to believe, if we believe the way we're supposed to believe, and if we're aligned the way that we're supposed to be aligned, nothing can stop us. Nothing can come against us. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. It's what's in our heart. See, it's the enemy of progress because we're not doing what we're supposed to do to make sure that we're unstoppable. So it's us envying other people who want what they got. And it's natural, right? I remember so many years ago, I'll tell you all this quick story before we go. Many years ago, this is when I first graduated from college. I wanted to own a Black beauty supply store. And so I started creating a list of products. I went and took this, I've taken probably 3 or 4 like these master's level certificate programs. And I had taken one at DePaul. I actually took one for a medical spa, which I still plan on doing. But I also took one for this beauty supply, like for supply chain distribution and stuff like that. And I made a list of all the different products that I wanted. I found different wholesalers and things like that. And because of the monopoly that at that time the Asian community had on the market, I couldn't get the prices down enough. Couldn't get the hair, just couldn't get it off the ground. And that's not the only business that I attempted to do that didn't work, but that was the first one that flopped because I invested time in the program and, trying to get there. And that one, I didn't really have a lot of passion about it either. The spa and the wellness piece, it ended up sparking a passion in me. And I went on to do it and still have a burning desire to do it again. So that was a little different, but this one didn't spark that much in me to make me want to keep going. And because I can figure out something if I have the time to figure it out. And I wasn't inspired to figure out how to navigate the industry. So about 3 months ago, my hairdresser, my stylist, wanted me to pick up something. And so she sent me to this place here in Chicago in Melrose Park off of North Avenue. I forget what it's called. It's a big, giant beauty supply. It's like a Walmart, but it's all beauty supply stuff. And the building is so big, it used to be a Value City furniture store. So that'll give you an idea of how massive the building is. I mean, all of this hair, all of this shampoo, color, it's massive, right? And it's in an old Value City, and it's got the aisles. It's a very nice place. And I remember walking in there and I got jealous. I wanted what they had. I said, look at this. I said, what a phenomenal concept. But I wasn't happy about it. I got triggered and started thinking about how, man, they wouldn't let me in the industry. This is amazing. Woo, 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 woo. I went into that whole thing. And I stayed in that store because I got so deep into my envy that I had to work myself through. And I said, I'm going to work myself through this right in the store. And so I worked myself from envy to admiration, because I said they kept the industry to themselves. You got to give it to them. Pooled their resources. And then I went into my own imagination and some things that I wanted to do. And then I became inspired by how they did it, because I was able to pick up on how they did it. And my brain was just firing on all cylinders. And then I went from that into activation. And so I got my stuff and went outside and sat in the car and made a bunch of notes. I said, okay, I got it. Thank you for allowing me to see this a lot. And I went into gratitude and started thanking a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I got it. And then I started to write down some plans that I have for another business that business inspired me to. So I made myself transform and transition right there in the space. And so and what I realized, I said, you didn't think of this idea because you didn't keep going, and you let the spark die in you because the rejection triggered something in you that made you quit. And so I had to sit and deal with that. I had to deal with it because at the time you wanted it, you may not care about it now. So you may say, well, I don't got to go through all that because I ain't trying to open up no beauty supply now. And I said no to myself, no. We want to explore this mental gymnastic that happened to you or that you sent yourself on when this happened many years ago, because it could be something now that's blocking something that you're working on. And so I went through that whole process right there in the parking lot. I just wanted to share that with you all. Anybody got any questions over what we're talking about today? I want us to turn it inward. We're always talking about when the haters this and the haters that, and the seek refuge in Allah against the envier when he envies. I'm talking about the envier and jealous person within today. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about us. When we are envious and jealous of somebody else, how do we catch ourselves from doing that? What do we do? How do we transform that emotion? That's emotional intelligence. That's having command over your emotions. That's telling your mind and your emotions, I'm in charge. You're not doing that today. How do we transform that into admiration and inspiration and activation? We talked about using gratitude and prayer and literally really talking to ourselves. It's okay to talk to ourselves. Go back, check out the show, and let's go over this. Okay, so we got the National Training Conference this weekend. For those of you who are in town, welcome to Chicago. We're excited. We had tours yesterday afternoon and evening. In the middle of the big old storm that we had branch fall down and all of this stuff. It was good. We had a really spirit-filled evening. And Allah blessed us to have some beautiful interactions yesterday. And so for me, I am just looking for more and more ways in which I can create and express and bear witness to the mighty power that Allah came and showed up on the planet to share with us. So thank you all for watching today. Happy Friday, Sister Betty. Brother Lamont said, good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. Brother Lamont, happy Friday. Happy Friday, Mom. CDM says, ASA, great teaching. Humility breeds awareness and attracts guidance, blessings, mind-blowing peace. Thank you, brother. Wa alaikum salam. Okay, family. So stay close, stay tuned, because as I mentioned, the new book is coming out very soon, very soon. I'm just tweaking it. I'm stopping myself from adding stuff. And so I took a body of work that I had, broke it down in half. And so I'm just adding it and tweaking it. And I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So I'm working on that. Make sure you support us. Use your Cash App. You see it here at the bottom. Support the vibration, Cash App, Sajdah Enterprises. Follow us on social media. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. And we will see you all, inshallah, later on today, this afternoon, National Training Conference, over the weekend as well. But so I'll see you all. I got to go. I got a bunch of stuff I got to do this morning before I head over there. And I can't think of nothing else. If you have a question, jump on tomorrow morning. We're going to continue to talk about this subject a little bit, and then I'll answer any questions that you think you may have. Okay. Check out my national training conference commercial and go out there, get your tickets. If it gets to the point where the site starts to say that it's sold out, I don't know, sometimes the site that I work with, it'll say sold out before it really is sold out. Then you're welcome. Thank you, Sister Betty. Love you too. If it says that, then I'm going to say to you, come anyway, and you can possibly pay at the door. Okay? Because a lot of times if it says we're sold out, sometimes people don't show up, and we can expand it, especially since a lot of people are coming after the mosque on Sunday. But anyway, try to go through the main channels. If you have a problem, just let me know. All right? Peace and blessings, y'all. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. I remember when the first National Training Conference was held 30 years ago. Congratulations. And I'm even more excited this year to open the Elijah Muhammad House, also known as Sajdah House, up for some special tours just for you, National Training Conference attendees. We're going to be having special tours on Thursday, 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., and also on Sunday at 4 p.m. So just go to ElijahMuhammadHouse.com and register to attend. And remember, space is very limited, so we got to get there and get registered. Congratulations, and I can't wait to see you. Welcome to Chicago.